Andre Hernandez, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. That is very generous of you and very much appreciated. Definitely appreciate that. Thank you. Say, can you really blame people for thinking Superman is a hard character to write? If you write him perfect, then he is bland, one-dimensional character. If you write him having flaws, then is he really Superman? This is the conundrum that a lot of people fall into. And I'm glad you wrote it out there, and I'm glad you worded it just like you did. It's actually not, he's not bland at all when he's written as he's supposed to be. He can still face challenges. Superman can very much still face challenges. He can just never doubt that there is a right way out of this. There's always a better choice, and there's always a right way out of this. You can't put him in a situation like where people were trying to defend his killing Zod at the end of Man of Steel, saying, "Look, what could he do? It was an interesting situation. He didn't want to kill him, but he had to. If he's going to save that family, he had to snap Zod's neck." First of all, that's not true. There are at least 2 or 3 other things he could have done with Zod than kill him. But if you're trying to tell a story where Superman or Batman or another, aspirational hero can't do anything but, then you're telling the wrong type of story for that character archetype. You shouldn't be using that archetype. That's not that's not that character's job to fit into that type of story. You don't want a Sophie's Choice, an aspirational hero. That's ridiculous. The aspirational hero story would come up with another way that you hadn't thought of. And is that realistic to real life all the time? No, of course not. But that's the work that the aspirational hero stories do for us, the work that Superman does for us. So, I mean, you bring up a good point there, Andre Hernandez, but I would say that it's easy to write Superman when you understand, when some of these writers should understand how you can have challenges. One of the cool things about the Superman Returns video game, which is actually really good, it tells a story on its own that kind of, sort of fits in with the movie, but not really. And there's so many great things. But in that game, you lose points if you create damage to Metropolis or the people. If you create too much, collateral damage, you're there to save the people, not hurt them. And you fail the game if you're not out there. So like, was it Metallo? Somebody's like stomping around the streets, in one scene. And if you're not saving enough people, if you allow him to hurt enough people, then you've lost the game. Because that's what Superman should do, is save the people. So if you're going to try to be Superman this game, you need to save the people. And if you don't, then you lost the game. There's no story to be told. There's no Superman story to be told where he lets a bunch of people die, because that's not the right story for that hero. So I love that aspect about that game, even though the gameplay can be a little hard here and there. But that was fun. But great point there. I appreciate you mentioning that comment and appreciate the super chat.